Welcome to Will Cook Music Reviews. I'm Will Cook, and we are getting towards the home stretch of my top 100 songs of 2020. This video is devoted to spots 30 through 11, then I got one more to come devoted to the top 10. Let's get into it. This song is trash and I love it. I don't think there is another song this year that hit me so instantly. I remember the first time it came up on my new singles playlist, I was freaking out right away. It just slams into the hook right away. You get that heavy, thick, crunching guitar blended with the main synth lead along with the frantic 808s. And Little Aaron lays down the most sticky hook of the year. It had me singing along by the final chorus of my first listen, and I just remember being swept by this euphoric energy that left me laughing at how wickedly fun and hard the song was. Lyrically garbage, but that is just part of the fun. I ain't here to judge the lyrics after getting so much pleasure out of this adrenaline rush of a song. This Canadian pop rock band released a decently solid album back in the fall, but this song is far above decent. It is the greatest showing of their clean, beachy sound. The reverb on the guitar is the leading player in the verses, has this vintage 80s feel to it, but really this song is all about the anthem of a chorus. It has a wonderful energy. You get the added vocals of the hoo towards the end that add a real blissfulness to it, along with the dreamy guitar. This is the best type of pop rock. This is as heavy as it gets on my top 100. I found this Australian metalcore band a few years ago, and their 2020 release marks my second album with them, and wow, does it ever hold some of the strongest metalcore that I've ever heard. The whole album holds a brilliantly dark energy with blistering anthems that are equally heavy as they are melodic, and Bones is the best to showcase that. Frontman Sean Harmanis has this guttural scream that is so satisfying and full, and just so much to grab onto. The first minute or so is absolutely filthy, making its way to this torrential double kick lead to the chorus that breaks open into a massive melody showing Sean's skills with the scratchy clean vocals, then right back into the filth before it cuts away for a brief glimpse of the band's starry angelic piano side that drops right back into the chorus, making for one of the strongest bursts of emotion from any song this year. A Day to Remember, one of the most successful bands in the emo core scene, has finally announced their new album to be released in 2021, and they've been teasing us with singles since 2019. Mindreader was the third single released for the album, and I know a lot of fans are not too stoked on it. It's very poppy, there's no screaming, no breakdowns, just straight up melodic goodness. I have been letting loose to this song since it came out in April. It is my 7th most streamed song of the year, so that just goes to show how addictive this is. Wildly catchy, playful, loud, and still holding some of that heavy guitar and drum work. I absolutely love frontman Jeremy McKinnon's vocals, and it is so much fun to sing along to this. This is another one that has been a huge part of my year. I've been keeping it close since its release in March, but I feel like I have had this one around for even longer. It was my 5th most streamed song of the year, and despite its not so tasteful, kind of womanizing lyrics, it's just been a song that has helped fuel me more than most. This Kentucky emo rock band has a vocal style similar to Pierce the Veil and Sleeping with Sirens, the type of whiny vocals that outsiders to this type of music cringe at, but I love it, and they do a killer job on this song with a hook that drives into me with this chugging rhythm and piercing vocals. Tons of attitude, and you get a wicked shredding guitar solo in the bridge that really helps break into the final chorus with all the more power, and the second verse is one of my favorites of the year with this playful way of of incorporating LOL and IDGAF into the lyrics.
Could be anyone else out there. Don't fret. I don't ever wanna see you and I never wanna meet you again.
My number 2 most streamed song of 2020. I was so stoked to discover Oliver Tree this year, and this was my first taste of his music. I caught a 15-second snippet of the hook in a promo video for the album. I had seen his face before in probably a meme or something, and when I found out he was an artist, I was so intrigued to see what his music was like, and I couldn't believe it when I heard the snippet of this song. Similar to my experience with Lil Aaron's band's Untied, I was immediately swept off my feet with what I heard, and after getting into the rest of the album, it was this song that remained my favorite. Being my second most streamed song of the year, I was definitely considering it for my top 10, but ultimately it's just 2 minutes, 2 fire hooks, and not much else. It just doesn't hold quite enough substance for a spot in the top 10. But it has a ridiculous punch to it, it's moody as hell, and it has this really fast 808 beat that is so much fun to play along with on the drum pad, a big reason why I've been coming back to the song all year.
Sever up my body, sew it up to stop me, 'cause I need surgery.
This song hits me so hard. This Australian pop-punk band released their sophomore album this year, and it was my first full release with them. I love the big, polished sound, and this song here is as big, polished, and emotional as it gets. It's built around this pulsing synth that drills into me during the stunning chorus. Vocalist Bonnie Fraser packs in some real feeling with her delivery. You get some tightly plucked guitar in there, the drums are absolutely resonating, the sound of the snare is so deep and full, and it just gives me that driven and emotional melodic pull that characterizes some of the best music I know. Massive song right here. This very pop-leaning post-hardcore band gave me one of the best albums of the year, full of songs like this, but not quite as special. There's just something about the way the chorus hits on this one that shakes me every time. I wouldn't talk to a friend the way I talk to myself. Love these self-deprecating lyrics. You get some robotic backing vocals in there to really push the pop appeal. And I love the lyrical play, especially in the second verse. He says, I spend the next 5 lines asking bad questions, and then goes on to ask 5 questions in the following lines. It's really cool.
Until I feel nothing for good. You tie the knot, I'll start the fire.
This Australian metalcore band is a bit hit and miss, but when they hit so good. Their song Feels Like I'm Dying made it to number 20 on my top 100 of 2018, and this one made it so close. They have a pretty easy chorus sound focused on blatantly depressing songs, and this one is no exception. It's actually about as soft as it gets on their latest album, but it was the clear standout just based on its ability to give me a musical feeling unlike anything else I heard this year. It's a slow song for the most of it, very vocally focused with some piano and unobtrusive drums. I love the somber feeling, and it doesn't have me waiting for the big climactic moment, but you know it's coming, and just as it approaches the 2-minute mark, the chugging guitar comes in and it brings new life to the hook. And it just fills me with this energy that is hard to put into words. And the lyrics too, you tie the knot, I'll start the fire. I love the haunting imagery. This Canadian prog metal band can be a bit much for my taste, but they pulled off an amazing piece of work with their latest album, each song based around moments in American history. And All Hands is the biggest stunner. It's about this great molasses flood of 1919 that happened when a tank of molasses ruptured, sending 2.3 million gallons rushing through the Boston Harbor and killing 21 people. So fucked up. The song is based around this person waiting for their train to arrive. They hear the tracks rumbling, thinking that must be it, only to be greeted by this black wave of death. It's horrifying, but the song does an incredible job at turning the story of this tragedy into an absolute piece of art. Frontman Rhodey Walker has gained all of my respect for his songwriting, and his vocal performance is unmatched. He even shows off his deep growl on this one. And the quality of the music is perfect. The intricate instrumentation shines and everything just sounds so good, but the true peak of the song arrives at the 3:30 mark into the final chorus. And yeah, I always rave about the feeling of a good hook, but this is entirely special and kind of transcendent in a way with the backing orchestrals. It really is breathtaking.
You're such a gaslighter, denier, doing anything to get your ass farther.
Well, I couldn't help but place this song high on my year-end list. I am not a follower of the Chicks, and I am not a country fan, but there is a huge power to this song. These ladies have been known for messages of female empowerment in their music, and yet don't have to look much past the title of this song to know what it's about. The melody they created here is genius. The way their voices harmonize is probably the greatest vocal feat of 2020, and it is the combo of that melody and those vocals that have given me some of the strongest, profound even, sing-along moments of my year. My favorite album of 2020 came from this indie rock band out of my home city of Vancouver, and nothing makes me feel more hometown pride than this song. There is so much good to be found on this album, but this one inches above the rest with this pull the floor out from under you chorus that just takes the air out of me. Frontman Charlie Kurz sounds amazing with his very full vocals. Ladies and gentlemen. And then you got the backing vocals, the here and now, the here and now. It breaches on playful, but it's also super intense, and it really leaves its mark.
Done giving up my life just to stay in the
This one arrived late in the year, and though I haven't spent as much time with it as some, it outshines most of what I've heard in 2020. It is one to play on repeat because it just goes by too fast. It is a prime example of a running hook. After a steady 1, 2, 3, 4 beat for the verse, it rips into this frenzied, splashing hi-hat hook with driven snare rolls jumping in and out, making for a wickedly exciting pull. There's an all-surrounding reverb on the guitar that resonates throughout the song. The sonic shift between the verse and the chorus is magical, and there's a shiny, dazzling presence in the flying melody that is quite beautiful. The biggest highlight of all the highlights on the sophomore album from the critically acclaimed Phoebe Bridgers. On an album with plenty of very subdued arrangements, Kyoto definitely stands apart with its stomping drums and celebratory horns. It is a phenomenal song that manages to be incredibly refreshing with the way the drum beat goes back and forth in the chorus from the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is such a rush with the shifting of musical feeling from closed in to open, closed in, open. And then you reach the conclusion with the soaring horns and soft crash of the drums, Phoebe concluding the story about the rocky relationship with her father, and there's just this wonderful feeling of completion. There has not been an album from the Naked and Famous that hasn't given me a year-end favorite. Blurry reminds me of exactly why I fell in love with the band to begin with back in 2010-11 with Young Blood. It is just a huge synth-pop hit with a dreamy, spacious atmosphere and a euphoric hook. Alyssa Zayalith has the perfect pop vocals that slide smoothly over the soft, bubbly verse and then punch during the drop-off of a hook. The guitar work in there, courtesy of partnering member Tom Powers, is definitely not too overshadowed by the dominating synths, adds a dancey, retro groove to it. Ultimately, they just pull off what I've always loved about their sound with a huge and polished synth-pop slammer that really manages to inspire that lust for life.
You don't trust my blues, I only have to hear it once and you'll be in love.
Now, this pop artist out of Amsterdam is a new find for me this year. I caught this single released ahead of his debut album all the way back in January, and I remember thinking when I was listening to it back then, have I really found what could be the song of 2020 here in January? The song is a soundtrack for deep thoughts and staring at the stars. It's got the soft thudding pop beat for the verse that moves into these sparkly keys that build tension for the pre-chorus, and that tension gives way into a dropout hook that has this cinematic effect to make you feel like you're the star of your own movie. Not quite number one material at the end of it all, the lyrics are a little bit shallow, but I can't deny the immense amount of feeling that this song delivers. Perfume Genius gave me one of the greatest albums of all time with 2012's Put Your Back Into It, and it has been great to see him evolve in the years since. He's grown to be one of the leading artists in the indie rock art pop realm, and a song like Describe is a good example of just what makes him so special. This one follows fuzzy as hell guitar with some steel guitar thrown in there to bring on this country feel, and a whole bunch of other ear-pleasing instrumentation. Mike Hadrius's vocals pleasantly floating above it all. His music has come such a long way since I first discovered him, but what I love about this song so much is that it brings me back to the simplistic, short structure of his early work. It's like he's delivering a poem that doesn't have too many words to it, but manages to sneak up on you with this wonderful yet soft emotional peak, and that peak comes at the 2:10 mark when he moves back into the main refrain, and it is just so admirable how he does it.
I'm not having fun tonight.
Lady Gaga in my top 100. I never thought this would be a reality, and all the way up here at number 13 shows how much this song had me coming back. I checked out her latest album because of all the talk around it, and while most of it I have not touched since, this song has had me hooked. It is my number 6 most streamed song of the year, which is crazy, but I guess I am just a sucker for some dance pop feeling. And this one has you waiting for the dance breakdown for the chunk of it, but on the way there, I am singing along to every word. And then you get to the build up towards the 2-minute mark, you get that muffled drum beat, everything starts to rise, and then it hits, and it is a fabulous off your feet dance breakdown. But it's when she comes back in with the "I can see it in your face, you don't think I've pulled my weight," that really gets to me. The melody within those words is so powerful, and it's why I've been coming back to this song all year.
I'm not in the mood for wasting time. Knew when I saw you, you'd
God, this song is edgy. This Toronto 3-piece caught my attention when this song was featured on a Spotify suggested playlist, and it has ended up in my top 10 most streamed of 2020. It's an all-out rocker with this thick humming bass and guitar work and a snare drum that hits with this real snappy punch. It's had me playing along on the drum pad plenty, which has definitely bumped up the stream count. Their vocalist has a cool and kind of punk energy to her delivery, and she soars in the blaring hook that just slams with so much of a melodic pull, especially the way it drum rolls into the final chorus. The feeling just intensifies, and they push the chorus to a crashing conclusion, really getting the most out of it. This song gave me one of the most intensely euphoric listening experiences of the year. It spends the first 3 minutes with Sufjan's heavenly vocals softly setting the scene over a light beat and sweet keys with little waves of sparkling synths, just creating a weightless atmosphere that as it moves on begins to take on more weight. I picture it like a thin sheet that is taking on these softly falling objects that slowly weigh it down until it breaks open just before the 3:15 mark. The synths coming in thick and Sufjan's layered vocals echoing over each other. And then it pulls back for a second as the glittery synthwave washes through again and leads into another crushing release of energy that makes for one of the most breathtaking experiences I've ever felt in music. Alright, that wraps up this round of the countdown. All we have left now is the top 10, and I can't wait to dive into it. Thank you for checking this out. Love a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Hit the subscribe. I've got more on the way, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to chat. I'll see you next time.